Toss to the right side.
Fade.
Culpepper goes left to Marcus Robinson. And
An NFL team without a good quarterback is like a Terminator movie without Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's awful, helpless, and just asking for trouble. The key ingredients to long-term success in the NFL is a great quarterback. And if your favorite NFL team is consistently at or near the bottom of the standings, well, look no further than the history of the club's failure to develop a quality signal caller. Now, before we start, let's just note renowned QB graveyards like the Chicago Bears and Washington Commanders were excluded from this list because, well, Caleb Williams and Jane Daniels both look like the real deal. So, with that out of the way, how about we dive into 5 NFL teams that are quarterback graveyards and 5 that are QB factories.
catch and the big cash in free agency. Getting after him as he was pursued.
Quarterback graveyard, Cleveland Browns. Oh boy, have you even seen the painfully long list of every Browns quarterback to start a game since they returned to the NFL in 1999? Well, spoiler alert, don't bother. That's the #1 indicator that nothing has gone right for the Browns at the QB position. Pure and simple. Now, nothing against Baker Mayfield, but he is 4th on the franchise's leaderboard in passing yards and 7th with wins, even though he only played 4 years with the franchise. Anyway, I guess we can start with former first-round picks and draft busts like Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, and Johnny Manziel. We can also point out that the Browns gave up on Mayfield to trade for Houston Texans Pro Bowler Deshaun Watson in 2022. You know, like how Watson went on to become literally the worst QB in the NFL after coming to Cleveland, even though he was a top 5 QB during his 4 years with the Texans. Or, I don't know, how about when Mayfield emerged as a star with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers en route to a $100 million extension? Oh, and did we mention that the Browns didn't even make an effort to retain Joe Flacco, who won 2023 Comeback Player of the Year honors after leading them to a rare postseason appearance? I guess they were too busy playing Watson and letting him ruin their 2024 season instead. What a shame. And that Watson for Mayfield swap sums up pretty much everything that's wrong with the Browns franchise. If you're an active NFL quarterback looking to survive in the league long term, then, for your own sake, please stay away from the QB graveyard that resides in Cleveland. Quarterback factory, Green Bay Packers. I mean, come on, does this one even need an explanation? To start off, the Packers had 5-time NFL champion and 2-time Super Bowl champion Bart Starr as their signal caller from 1956 to 1971, forming a historic dynasty with legendary head coach Vince Lombardi. Then, 2 decades later, the Packers began a new era of dominance with Brett Favre, a 3-time league MVP who starred behind center from 1992 to 2007. Favre led the Packers to 2 NFC title banners and a Super Bowl 31 championship in the 1996 season, putting himself on the Mount Rushmore of Packers greats. And when Favre got traded to the New York Jets in 2008, well, Aaron Rodgers stepped up as the new face of the franchise. The 4-time MVP winner led the Packers to 5 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl 45 title in the 2010 season, his 3rd year as the starter. And finally, when the Packers took the risk and moved on from Rodgers in 2023, Jordan Love, a once highly panned 2020 first-round draft pick, immediately took over as the next great signal caller in Green Bay. So, when the Packers draft Jordan Love's successor in 10 to 15 years from now, don't freak out, Packers fans. History says that you're just going from one MVP and Super Bowl winning QB to another. Quarterback graveyard, Carolina Panthers. The Panthers were blessed with mostly great quarterback play from Cam Newton for the first 7 seasons of his NFL career. But once injuries began to derail his career in 2018, the Panthers became the site of an ugly quarterback room. It all started when new head coach Matt Rule pursued and landed journeyman QB Teddy Bridgewater on a 3-year deal worth $63 million. Teddy Two Gloves had a pretty mess season there and was traded to the Broncos after Rule decided to take a chance on former New York Jets QB Sam Darnold. The #3 pick of 2018 had 2 disappointing seasons in Carolina, participating in a QB game of musical chairs that also featured Cam Newton 2.0, Baker Mayfield, and PJ Walker. Desperate for a franchise QB, the Panthers surrendered a king's ransom to the Chicago Bears for the top pick in 2023 and selected Alabama's Bryce Young. And after a horrible rookie year, Young got 2 starts in 2024 before getting benched in favor of Andy Dalton. By the way, Mayfield has reached stardom as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting QB. Darnold is playing the best football of his career with the Minnesota Vikings. And we're kinda sure a similar fate now awaits Young, but we're already terrified for the next starting QB in Carolina. History tells us that it is not gonna go well for him. Quarterback Factory, Philadelphia Eagles. Philly GM Howie Roseman famously called his organization a quarterback factory when he drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round back in 2020. This move stunned everybody since the Eagles were supposedly committed to Carson Wentz after they inked him to a $28 million extension a year earlier. But yes sir, that quarterback factory comment has aged beautifully for Philly. Wentz's career started falling down the drain in 2020, prompting the Eagles to turn to Hurts. He has since emerged as one of the NFL's top 10 quarterbacks, finishing second in MVP voting during the 2022 season, the year his Eagles narrowly lost Super Bowl 57 to the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you want to go back to the pre-Hurts days, what about journeyman backup Nick Foles leading the Eagles to a Super Bowl 52 championship after Wentz's season-ending knee injury in 2017? Or what about Foles' jaw-dropping 2013 season? Or Michael Vick earning Comeback Player of the Year honors in 2020? Or I don't know, the borderline Hall of Fame production of Donovan McNabb for over a decade? Yeah, Philly, quarterback factory indeed. Quarterback graveyard, Denver Broncos. The Broncos made the most of the Peyton Manning era, winning 4 straight AFC West Division titles, 2 AFC championships, and Super Bowl 50 before he retired in 2016. Now, well, unfortunately for Broncos Nation, the franchise has been in complete disarray since the Sheriff's retirement. Maybe they have something in 2024 first-round pick Bo Nix, but the last 8 years were absolute nightmare fuel, enough to put Denver on this list. Trevor Siemian isn't it. Neither was 2016 first-round pick Paxton Lynch, whom the Broncos gave up on after 4 starts. And bringing back Brock Osweiler 1 year after an ugly divorce? Come on, some couples are better off away from each other than together. What are we doing here? After his career year that culminated in the Minnesota Vikings' improbable run to the 2017 NFC Championship game, Case Keenum signed with the Broncos in free agency. Same mediocre production, so yeah, Denver cut ties after 1 year. Joe Flacco's career revival after losing his starting job to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore? Forget about it. 2019 second-round pick Drew Lock? Nothing to see here. Teddy Bridgewater's short-lived stint in 2021? Yep, nothing memorable here either. Blockbuster Russell Wilson trade that was supposed to end the Broncos' painful search for an answer at QB? Yeah, we all know how that played out. Good trade for the Seahawks, we suppose. But I guess you can't be too greedy, Broncos fans. You had 2 Hall of Famers and Super Bowl winning QBs in John Elway and Peyton Manning. And hey, that's much better than most other franchises. Quarterback factory, Indianapolis Colts. The Colts' rich QB history starts with the legendary Johnny Unitas, but there was a lengthy wait between true franchise signal callers. Once the Colts drafted Peyton Manning first overall in 1998, the franchise was changed for the better. Manning turned the Colts into an AFC powerhouse, winning 4 MVPs in the blue and white uniform. He then led them to 2 Super Bowls, winning it all over the Chicago Bears in the 2006 season. When the Colts and Manning agreed to finally break up in 2012, well, no big deal. First overall pick Andrew Luck filled the big shoes and led Indy to the postseason 5 times, going as far as the 2014 AFC Championship game. He then shocked the world by retiring before his 30th birthday in 2019, but that didn't stall the production of quarterbacks at the Colts factory. Just when it looked like he was past his prime, Philip Rivers enjoyed a bounce-back year and led Indy to 11 wins and a playoff berth. His retirement in 2021 forced the Colts to find a new QB. And, well, they settled on Carson Wentz. Now, most think of Wentz's 1-year tenure in Indy as a disaster, but need we remind you that he threw for 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions before his career truly went off the rails as Washington starter in 2022. Yeah, sure, the 1-year Matt Ryan experiment was a failure. But even after rookie Anthony Richardson missed all but 4 games in his 2023 rookie year, journeyman backup Gardner Minshew II earned his first Pro Bowl nod and led Indy to a 9-8 season, just barely missing out on the playoffs. Time will tell if Richardson can stay healthy and live up to the sky-high potential. But the Colts' excellent ability to get the most out of their QBs suggests that Richardson will grow into a star. Quarterback graveyard, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags had stability at QB over their first decade and a half of existence, namely Mark Brunell, Byron Leftwich, and David Garrard. Since 2011, however, Duval County has been a cemetery for the game's most important position. So, as everyone knows, the decision to trade up and snag Blaine Gabbert 10th overall in 2011 was a disaster. Picking Blake Bortles 3rd overall in 2014 only continued to set this franchise back. So, after releasing Bortles in 2019, the Jaguars turned signed a Super Bowl 52 MVP Nick Foles and gave him a 4-year deal worth $88 million in free agency. He lost his starting job to Gardner Minshew after suffering a broken clavicle, and the Jags got the Bears to take on his contract in a 2020 offseason trade. Oh, hey, remember how Trevor Lawrence was labeled as generational? Yeah, so the Jaguars took him first overall in 2021, and the Clemson star has been a giant disappointment for the most part. But, hear us out, maybe he's just stuck in a QB graveyard. And if he were to go somewhere else, maybe we'd finally see him pop off. Quarterback Factory, Minnesota Vikings. This entry will surprise some, but history doesn't lie. Dante Culpepper was among football's best quarterbacks during his peak with the Vikings. 39-year-old Brett Favre was one non-brutal interception away from leading Minnesota to Super Bowl 44 after a dismal one-year stint with the Jets. Christian Ponder didn't live up to the hype, but Teddy Bridgewater was pretty solid in his stint with the Vikings and led them to the NFC North Division crown in 2015. And though they missed the postseason in 2016, Sam Bradford did have a career year with a league-leading 71.6 completion percentage with 20 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. Career journeyman Case Keenum had his best season in 2017, performing the Minneapolis Miracle and leading his squad to the 2017 NFC Championship game. Kirk Cousins earned 3 Pro Bowl nods as a Viking and led them to the playoffs twice. And after Cousins left, well, hey, no big deal. Sam Darnold is just putting together the best season of his career in 2024 with promising rookie JJ McCarthy out for the year. Honestly, the future cannot be brighter for McCarthy in a QB factory that is Minnesota. Quarterback graveyard, New York Jets. Can we just focus on the Jets' misery at quarterback since 2008? That was the 1 year that they had the legendary Brett Favre, who had a miserable 1-year stop here before enjoying a brief career renaissance with Minnesota in 2009. And we know that 2009 5th overall pick Mark Sanchez helped the Jets to 2 AFC Championship games, but come on, he was carried by an elite defense and rushing game. And remember the forgettable Geno Smith era? Yeah, well, he's done pretty dang well in Seattle as Russell Wilson's successor, now hasn't he? 2018 3rd overall pick Sam Darnold was a bust before reviving his career in Minnesota. 2021 2nd overall pick Zach Wilson was literally one of the most unwatchable QBs in NFL history. And, I mean, at least the great Aaron Rodgers made headlines with his weird claims on the Pat McAfee show? Like, at least he makes this dysfunctional organization an even more hilarious circus show, right? Yeah, the Jets just ain't the place to be. Quarterback Factory, Dallas Cowboys. Love or hate the Cowboys, you can't take away their rich history of quarterbacks. Obviously, it all starts with Hall of Famer and 2-time Super Bowl champion Roger Staubach. You kids know Troy Aikman as ESPN's Monday Night Football analyst, but he was also a cornerstone of the 90s Cowboys dynasty that won 3 Super Bowls over a 4-year span between 1992 and 95. Dallas hit a rough patch at QB from 2001 to 2005 following Troy Aikman's retirement, but the polarizing Tony Romo provided stability at the position from 2006 to 2014, leading them to 4 playoff appearances during his tenure as the primary starter. And when Romo went down with a back injury in 2016, well, 4th-round pick Dak Prescott emerged as the next great QB in Dallas, helping them to the NFC's top seed in his rookie year. And have we mentioned that Cooper Rush has played pretty well in relief of Prescott when the occasion is called for it? Prescott might be more polarizing than Romo was, but he does produce like a top 10 QB on an annual basis. So, from Staubach to Aikman, Romo to Prescott, the Cowboys have been blessed with a flourishing QB factory over their history. But which other NFL quarterback graveyards or factories should we have included on our list? Is there any entry that you maybe disagreed with? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then hey, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.